All right, guys. I've got a new headset today. You're on the VIP webinar for virtual group. I know it's Friday, and I appreciate you guys coming to the webinar today. Usually we have it on Thursdays, of course, and I know Fridays are good for you and stuff, so I'm glad you're here. If you can just give me a quick shout out, let me know that you can hear me okay. This is a new headset. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. All right. We got Ed, Iris, Steven. Of course, Chad's here, Joseph, Stephen, Jamie, Terry. All right, we've got our usual and some new people here I see. Dallas, good to see you. Jonathan, I'm glad to see you here too. We've got some good people on. This is going to be a great webinar, guys. So we won't wait too long. Let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to be doing is, we're going to be talking about the top questions to ask your prospects. But really what I'm excited about is we're going to be talking to one of our sales partners, and you're going to learn how he's taken his career from 2011 to now, and everything that he's done, and you're going to hear it straight from him. That's going to be the majority or everything about our webinar today. We're going to have some great coaching from him and what he's done to become a success. And I'm really glad that you guys are on. We are recording this webinar, and we are going to take this and distribute it really quick out to you. So if you do have to leave early, don't worry about it. You'll get it, and please, watch it and listen and learn something. Let's see here. Excuse me. I'm a little bit under the weather, guys. So but we had to push through with this great webinar. I was so excited to have Chad on the line. So had to be here, but please excuse the occasional cough and sniffle. Hey, we've got our marketing primers updated for the 7 major services that we have. These are all done, for you to be able to give them out to your clients. It gives a real explanation of everything that we do within, like our SEO program, our local buzz, even all of our social media or pay-per-click. These are really great for you to have. So don't hesitate to go into eDasher. I'll show you where they are later, where you can go and download those. They've all been updated, and you guys need to be aware of that. So let's see here. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to meet Chad. He's one of our sales partners. He's been a successful entrepreneur since 1996. He's been a partner since 2011. His niche focus is basically local companies in the Sacramento area where he lives. And his goal, get full-time income with part-time hours. I think we all love that. So without further ado, let me bring in Chad real quick. Let's see, make sure I know he's on the line. Let's just make sure I can get to him real quick. Let's see. Okay, now, Chad, you should be unmuted. Are you there?
I can hear you if you can hear me.
All right,
yes,
great.
I'm here.
Can everybody hear Chad on the line? Just give me a shout out real quick. Okay, great. Larry, Nick, all right, we've got everybody. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit. Let's get started with, how did you get here? And, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Jonathan, I started in my own business back in 1996, so it's hard to believe it's coming up in 20 years now. And I had a business. I was a distributor, and I was everything in that business. It was a good business for me. As you see on here, it was 60 hours a week. I was doing everything. I was maxed out at what I could do, but things were going well. And then a couple things happened over time that dropped that business drastically. And a couple things were the housing crisis actually hit, and we used to do a lot of financing. So way. And then the other hammer that hit my business was for 13 years, up to about 2009, it really started to slow up, is I relied 100% on newspaper ads for my business. So as an example, one major newspaper in California, I ran ads consistently for almost 4 years. An ad that I had previously would get 35 calls a month, went down to 0 to 1. I would literally get half a call from 35 over that time. So I actually was kind of in panic mode for that business. And I tried to get some help for online. I saw that's where things were going. I kind of got taken actually by a company out of Las Vegas. And I said, you know, I'm going to figure this out because my business, I'm not getting any leads. My business is down. I need to find some ways to market and get my business. So after that experience with the one company, I said, you know, I need to start learning about this. And that's when I, first heard of the term SEO. And if you want to go to the next slide, I started learning all about that, Jonathan, and I went out to there we go. I went out to a mastermind. So I was going to different courses and trainings. I went out to a mastermind out in Dallas to start learning about SEO, and that's when I actually met a gentleman named Michael, who actually I still mastermind and meet with to this day from 11 years ago that I met. And that's when two things happened. One is that's when somebody first gave me the name of your company, and that was Michael, who I'm eternally thankful for, because that's been a huge key to my business. And that's also when I thought, you know, why am I just thinking about doing this for myself? Why don't I start this? I've been in business. Why don't I stop, do this and help other businesses with it? Because I know that other businesses are having the same issues. This is a transition period, and there's some other people I'd heard griping about it. And I joined up with your team back in 2011, and fast forward to today. So that's kind of how I got into it. I originally got into it to save my butt from another business, and then decided to help other business owners as well.
That's great. I understand you work alone, right? And
I do.
So you call it a solo practice. Can you explain what that is and what you do?
Yeah, so a solo practice to me is having a lot of freedom. As I mentioned, my previous business, it was good, but I was literally everything. I was maxed out on time. I could not get any more business than what I was doing now. So when I started this business, I said, I don't want to get back in that same boat of where I'm running around. Even if the money's good, I've got to have some time. I'm divorced. I have 2 kids. I go to all their soccer games. I pick them up from school. I need time to be able to do all these things and travel that I want to do. So this time I want to create the business that I really want. And honestly, I started going back down the road for a while of kind of making it a lot of work. I got into a VA, hired a telemarketer, was trying to hire salespeople. And next thing you know, I realized I was spending 40 hours of work managing them, trying to make sure I had enough work for my VA and salesperson. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, and I know we have a lot of people on for your webinars. I've been on them where they have large agencies and they're able to utilize those things. And I actually have some good tips later, and I can show on hiring like a caller or a salesperson that I learned through that process. But what ended up happening is I felt like I was chasing my tail again, and I started calculating the number of customers that I needed to get to pay for them, the amount of time that was taking me to manage them, and I just took a step back. And I said, you know what, I'm a solopreneur, but I'm not by myself. I found a virtual group who handles all of my work for me. All I need to do is get clients and maintain my clients. So that's where I put my focus. And the other thing that I actually do outsource still is my bookkeeping and accounting. So I have somebody that handles that, so I don't have to think about that. You guys handle my outsourcing for me, and all I do is focus on customers. That's it.
Wow, that's great. That's great. How did you, when you started out, I know it was a rough time and you decided, okay, I'm going to do this. How did you get your first client?
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm actually going to tell you who, pardon me?
You know what? I want to ask real quick, if you don't mind, if I poll the audience real quick, to get kind of an idea of who's on the line and who's going to, so you can. So the first question I have to everybody is, is anybody on the webinar right now who is still looking for their first client? Can you just push in 1 on the chat box and throw it out there? If you're just starting out and you're still looking for your first client. Okay. All right, good. Now let's see. If you've got 2 to 5 clients currently, can you throw out a number 2 in the chat box? Okay, let's see here. A little bit. Okay, it's even Steven so far. Okay, let's go one more time. If you've got more than 5 clients, can you type in a 3 into the chat box? Okay, all right. Now, one more time. If you've got more than 10 clients, type in a 4 in the chat box, and it really gives us an idea of where we stand with the attendees. Okay. Well, Chad, it looks about even. I mean, it looks like we've got from the responses, it's like, I would say it's even across the board on our attendees today. It seems to be pretty much across the, even with everybody. So anyway, let's go back to, how you got your first client and started your journey.
Okay. So I got my first client. Actually, my actual first client was myself. When I started in this business, one of the first things I did, number one is I was trying to create my own website. So I was doing my website and I was changing it and editing it and trying to learn WordPress, and I had a book on HTML and graphic design and all these different things. And that's when I saw the enterprise level website with you guys. So what I did, and that was just a huge weight off my shoulders. When I went to the website, it looked professional. I was something that I was proud to show other people or have prospects come to. And that took that big burden off of me. So I did that, and then the next thing I did is, and I recommend this for everybody, if you can afford it at all, even if it's the smallest ones, is get some service. So I got some SEO and local buzz service for my own company to promote my website. So I was my own first customer, and then that actually led to my very first customer, because a short time after doing that, I got a call from a company. So my first customer actually was an inbound call off my website. And actually, I won't forget, it was I'd never heard of it at this time, but it was a company that's a cigarette rolling company. I guess you can go in and roll your own cigarettes, and you get to bypass all these taxes and stuff. And the company was just blowing up. People were lined up the door trying to get this, and they wanted to expand. So my first customer technically was myself. My first customer other than myself, I got by having a website and promoting it and showing up locally in my local rankings high.
Nice, nice. When we were talking earlier, you were talking about that you didn't have a lot of experience in SEO. How did, when you built your VIP website with us, how did that help you kind of understand, when going through the process of launching an SEO campaign with us and a local buzz, how did that help you kind of get the knowledge so you could go out there and sell it?
So, well, that's a great question. I think I had this information on one of the other slides, but I'll go for it now. Is one of the things I really got hung up on that really hindered me was thinking that I had to know everything, number one, about SEO and online marketing. So I think you should have a working knowledge. You need to know a few things, but you don't need to be up all night like I was and on Moz and Search Engine Land and Search Engine Journal and digital marketing and watching endless videos, and so that you're a world expert and that you have every answer that every possible prospect can ask you. So that was just a real hindrance. And just so you know, half the business owners that I meet today, they don't even know what the term SEO means. A lot of them don't even know how to log into their Facebook account. And I was worried about, like I was going to be, enough knowledge to be the speaker at some, convention full of experts. So when I let that go and I relied on you guys and said, hey, I have, people on my team that can handle that, I'll get back to you. And that moment was very freeing for me. And then when I did through myself and my first client, once you go through, you learn so much with that, because you do your first month setups. You're going to see how the keyword research works. You're going to work with the account manager. She's going to go over the keyword research with you and help you, give you recommendations on what keywords to do. And then they're going to say, here's the content that we want you to add to your website. Here's where we want the keywords to go. And you can ask questions along that line. I used to all the time. Well, why are we doing that? Why do you want me to do this? And it would be explained to me. And then as we got into the second month of actually promoting it, I got my first blog article, saw the social post, was able to go to my the work report and look at the work report. Honestly, if you do that within the first month or two of going through those services, you're going to know enough. You're going to know more than any business owner that you're going to talk to is going to know. And even if they are an expert, the experts we're not after. We're after the people that don't know what they're doing that need help. So that's gave me all the knowledge that I need. I don't worry about it anymore. I don't stay up late night and on weekends reading endless journals and blogs thinking I have to know everything.
Right. Well, that's really cool. I'm glad that it went that way for you. So can you talk to us about how you're finding your leads? This is always a big question that we ask every
Absolutely.
partner. Where do you get your leads from?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm happy to share. The biggest part for me has been a few areas, but number one for me has actually been networking. And I have some tips on that too. I've done, I would say pick one or two business groups. So I've done, I do the chamber and I do a local business group. That might be like a BNI, I know is a national one. They're here, but I'm with a more of a regional one. And be consistent. At one point I got up to where I was like 3 chambers in a business group, and I'm just driving around all these different areas, and you're sporadic in all these different areas. What you need to be for networking to work is you need to pick 1 or 2 and show up consistently. Show up every week to your weekly meeting, go to a lunch, go to a mixer, and they're going to get to know you and know what you do. You're not going to show up once and just have a deluge of business. But if you can get dedicated to 1 or 2 groups, you can do very, very well with networking. And then you just have to make sure that you have a minimum. I like to have a minimum of 5 new people that you're going to walk up and introduce yourself to. And that has been the biggest boon for my business. In fact, that's how I got my second customer. So after I got the website, the company that called me on my website, my next one was a company that I had introduced myself to that was a local restaurant. So then that led into some speaking. So by doing that, my group would ask me to speak, and then somebody would say, hey, I've got a friend in another group, they wanted to learn about this. So you could get requests. Then if you want to, the more proactive you are. I've spoken at chambers, several local business groups. That always leads to 1 or 2 people at least coming up to you afterwards and having some questions or handing you a card. That's a great way to get leads. Referrals, Jonathan, is another way. So as you get these clients and them referring other people over to you, also don't wait on them to do it. Ask them, are you happy with our service? Get them in that aha moment, that honeymoon period in the first, usually in the first 90 days where you've done some work for them, you followed through, they think you're the greatest guy or gal, and at that point ask them, do you have any other colleagues in this business that aren't in our geographic area that I could help with, or do you know any other business owners that aren't competitive with you in our area? So networking, speaking, referrals. I still get some leads off of my website. I always have my website, make sure that that's ranking high locally, and that's been the main way. We're actually now starting to get in some more of the emails, just starting with some of the emails and follow-up calls, but really that's just something new. I've been able to get all of my customers the last several years from those sources.
Wow, that's great, and it's very low cost of entry for you, right? I mean, how much does it cost you to get into the chamber and attend the meetings? It can't be very much.
No, it's 150, 180 bucks for the whole year, something like that. A business group you can usually sign up for, depending on the business group. So when I have, it's $40 a month, and my first couple of clients, paid for that for the next 20 years. So
nice. Well, I mean, we've talked about, the different ways to get leads, and this, networking, I think, is great. I think it's perfect that we have you on to talk about, that approach. What are you doing to, really grow your business today? Just the same, are you doing anything else, or just, mainly working on the networking?
That's 100%. The networking, referrals, speaking, and getting leads from my website has been the #1 way that I've gotten. I am starting to experiment, as I mentioned to you, and with sending out some emails and doing some follow-up calls. So that would be using like a lead program like, the Goldmine lead generator, where I can put in some emails and send some of those out, and then make some follow-up calls, and then occasionally you'll get an inquiry back. But generally you don't, not always. It's a very limited number. So if you send those out and then you make a follow-up call, I've had, some success has started to go down that road to help as well. Okay.
So how did you build your team? How did you, you decided not to do it all yourself? And I mean, when you were building your team, how did you, work that out?
Well, a couple things, and #1 was by getting out and learning, and then, like I said, when I went to the mastermind in Dallas on a educational program on online marketing, and I was able to meet somebody to introduce me to your company. So the number one is, my concern was a great outsourcer that you can rely on to provide your work, and that's for several reasons. Number one is you've got to be able to trust them, and you guys have done fantastic work for me over the years, because you have to be 100% confident when you're talking to prospects and clients. If you're not, it's going to come through. You want to talk to them absolutely confident and proud of the service that you're going to provide for them and the follow-through that you know is going to happen. So that was a big step. For me also, I didn't want to have to worry about putting together all of the marketing material. So that was another big thing that I really love about working with you guys is the marketing material there. The marketing primers look great. I love those. I print out all the marketing primers, and I print out, as a tip, I always have all the marketing primers printed out, and I also print out the line items of the work of all the different services, and I keep those in a folder, and that way I always have them with me, and I'm able to whip out a brochure. If I'm in a meeting with somebody that's a little more analytical and they want to know some of the details of the line items, I can pull that out of my folder at any time and go over that with them. And that was my main thing on building my team. I did, as I mentioned, go down hiring a VA and a caller, and then hired some any success myself, and that's when I went back to my solopreneur mode. But for people that are looking to do that, I do have a couple of tips on that. As far as the VA, onlinejobs.ph is where we were able to find our VA. Found some good candidates. You can also go to Upwork. A lot of people are probably familiar with that already. And then you got to have some sort of document sharing program if you want to go down that road. We like, and I liked Google Drive, because you can give them permission to certain documents that you want, and then you can revoke it. And then anytime you have a VA do something for you, tell them, now document that. Create a document, a process document for what you've done, and upload it. So now you're building your training for the other people. And then as far as like callers and salespeople, I spent so much time training a telemarketer, and by the way, I was able to get some callers off of like Upwork and OnlineJobs.ph, that route as well. For my caller salespeople, I was looking for people locally here, and did a lot of that through Craigslist, actually, for advertising for salespeople. But I spent a lot of time with the callers, and a ton of time with my first 2 or 3 people that were going to be salespeople. I'm talking like meetings, several meetings over like a couple-week period, educating them and callers and going over trainings and stuff with them, and they don't make a call. So you spend a week trying to get somebody up as a telemarketer, then they don't make a single phone call. So if I were to do it, I kept paring this down. If I go down that road, went down that road again, my tip is on a caller and even the salesperson, give them 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's it. Enough that they can memorize to make an appointment. Then have them make some calls and make an appointment, and tell them you're going to go out on an appointment and run it with them, and they're still going to get their full commission. Or you're going to get on the phone with the next step with them, they're still going to get their full fee, because you want to see if they're going to pick the phone up. Now you've invested an hour with that person, and if they never make a phone call, you didn't blow a ton of your time. And with that, you're able to weed through people a lot more quickly. Just give them the bare minimum to make that first appointment. That would be a big tip that I learned that I just wasted, I don't know how many hours through that process on.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. That's a great suggestion. It takes so long to train somebody that, I can see where your approach, an hour, and get them on the phones. If they don't do something, then cut them quick, right? Just keep going.
Cut them quick. Yep.
Oh, go ahead, Chef.
No, that's it. Do a Skype or a Zoom, and get online with them. Do 1 or 2 practice calls, and say, do 10 calls this afternoon, and let's talk when you're done, or talk tomorrow morning. And you're going to find out that fast if they're ever going to do anything.
And you also mentioned that you're outsourcing your bookkeeping and your accounting. Did you find that on OnlineJobs.ph as well, or where did you find your bookkeeper?
I did not. Actually, my bookkeeper was referral from my sister.
Okay.
I had a previous bookkeeper that I wasn't happy with, that I found just on a local Google search, and I found my accountant. Actually, when I moved up to this area, I did actually a Google search for accountants, and I called 3 of them up, and that's how I found them. So
okay.
And then he became actually one of my customers.
Oh, I love that. Well, so let's get into, what are your top selling products, and what do you usually, push and go for?
Okay. Without a doubt, what I mostly focus on and push is the SEO and the local buzz. That is a majority of my income. That gets them up in the organic rankings. Companies love seeing themselves ranked up high. I've had some companies that have really just grown their businesses by ranking high. I mean, like tripling their business, opening a new store, hiring more employees. I mean, there's a lot of success stories through those services. And what I like about them is you can get a good markup, and they're month after month after month. So that's why I like it. I've done some websites. I have, several websites, not a ton, but I've done websites. Nothing wrong with websites, but those are a one-time thing. Majority of your money is one time. It actually can be kind of a long process with people, especially if they're not getting back to you. And then maybe you could do some smaller maintenance on it. I would rather have the website as an upsell, or I'm doing the website and then we're also locked in to do their SEO as soon as we upgrade their website. So SEO and local buzz, biggest profit margins for me, longest term products. I've got clients, I've got a handful that I've had since 2011, some of my first clients. So years later, they're still on those services. My next level after that, as I mentioned, the websites, and then the other one would be pay-per-click marketing. Typically, it's been Google, but obviously, I know you guys have gotten into the Facebook, so I've done a little bit of the Facebook, the remarketing, and social media. And those are usually my second. Those are my second tier. Part of the upsell, expand with the clients, those types of things. Right.
Chad, our top selling products here that we sell is definitely our SEO and local buzz. I mean, that's our bread and butter here. Then it kind of goes in the same order. I mean, our web design team, and then PPC, and then on down. So, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Going for the residual income and making sure that you're doing a long-term deal, and then adding the websites. A lot of people, that are on the line, they'll build a website like Steven. He'll build a website mandatory and then go into the SEO. So I think for long-term income, you definitely need that residual, right? And by the way,
Absolutely.
It's funny that you mentioned printing out the marketing primers. There's a couple of people on the webinar right now that do exactly the same thing. They carry them around, and boom, when they want to lay them out, you've got them. So guys, if you're on the webinar right now, I'm sure you've heard from Steven and some of the others that do this, and now Chad. Pick it up, make copies of them, and have them with you. If there's a question about a service, you can whip that sucker out, and boom, it hits the table, and it's like very, very complete. So, Chad, the next question is, what questions do you ask your prospects to set the stage for a high-value consultative sale?
Okay. So the first thing that I do let's see here. I think we might cover that on the later slides, so I don't want to jump up. But first, I want to get them talking, number one. So there's a sales rule of, have the other person talking 80% of the time, you 20%. In the beginning, and I made this mistake, some other people might be able to, this might resonate with, when I was trying to learn so much, I felt like I need to really let everybody know what an expert I was talking 80% of the time, and I was trying to throw all this knowledge on them to let them know I was legit, and I'd done all this studying, and I really knew what I was talking about, and it just wasn't working. I was just an unpaid consultant. I would have these 1, 2, 3 hour meetings. So the focus is really, I want to get them emotionally involved, and I want to ask them a few questions. The first thing I always ask is, tell me about your business. Even if I see that they're, like a call I got recently from a referral was for a company that does insurance, and they do workers' comp insurance. Well, I know what that is, but I still want to say, the first thing I want to say is, tell me about your business. What do you do? And this is going to get them going for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes or longer sometimes about what they do, because everybody's proud of their businesses. And I ask them, what are the goals? What's for your business? Where do you want your business to be? And this is where you're going to get to, well, I want to be able to hire another salesperson. I want to double my sales, and we'd like to open up a second office. So tell me about your business. What are your goals for your business? Then I ask them who their target market is and who is their ideal client. So I want to know who they're targeting and who their ideal client is. Then the next thing I usually ask is, where are your customers located? Because what will happen in the case of this insurance company I mentioned, they're in Sacramento, but their answer was, well, Napa, San Jose, and San Francisco. So now I know in the back of my mind, okay, we need to look at probably paid ads for these people when I get back to them on a proposal, because it doesn't do any good for them to rank right here next to their office organically, is if their customers are 100 to 200 miles away in different cities. So I want to find out where their customers are. You know, what are you looking to accomplish with your online marketing? Just to find out what kind of expectations they have, if they have any, if they've been told, if they have had the service before. So what are your expectations? I always try and get the budget from them. I find that most people don't have a set budget in their mind, but I'll ask them, you know, something, you know, hey, Jonathan, a round number, share with me what your budget is for your online marketing. Well, gosh, I don't know, Chad. Yeah, if you had an idea, Jonathan, what would it be? And then I'll do it. And the third time I'll push is if they say no, then I go, well, Jonathan, would it be, is it 500? Is it 5,000? I'll give them a low and a super high number. Oh, well, it wouldn't be 5,000, maybe, you know, 1 to 2,000 a month. That generally, I haven't really ever had to go further than that. And most of the time you can get a number if you go through that sequence right there. And, you know, most of the time, sometimes you just don't get anything and you just got to come back to them.
Right.
And then the other one I want to ask is, what is their average value or sale when they get a client? Because we want to target high value clients with this, right? So we don't want, with our SEO service, if you want to get a client that's paying you $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, or even up to more a month, you don't want a nail salon where they're going to get $20 a nail salon and think they're going to pay you $1,500 for their online marketing because they're going to need 750 manicures that month. That's not going to happen, right? We want an accountant, a plumber, an auto repair store. My minimum is that they average $500 or more when they get a client, because now I know I only need to get them a handful of clients and they're going to double, triple, quadruple, 10 times what their service fees are to us. And that's going to make them happy, and it's going to make them long-term customers.
I like that number. That's a good number. It
is, and that's when also, I'm sorry, you can also come back, and if there's, you know, whenever you're talking to them, they're hemming and hawing about the price, you're like, listen, we only need to get 2 customers for you a month for this. You know, let's get busy and get this going and get you those 2 customers.
Right. I like the approach. So, you know, guys, we'll put this out there, but remember, these are the questions, if I get this right. You're asking them about their business, you know, getting them talking. You're asking about their goals, right? You're asking about their target market and who, you know, what their customer is, as well as where they're located, correct? Okay.
Yes, and I'm making notes because I'm going to bring that stuff back up when I do the proposal. So I'm always making notes on this.
Okay. Oh, and then you're looking for what they're trying to accomplish with their marketing, because that can really help you when you're trying to match them with their services, I guess, right?
It can, and sometimes so we never want to assume that that we know what they want. A lot of times, I've had people that have sold me that, where all of a sudden they get on, they're talking for 20 minutes, I can't get an edge in, you know, a word in edgewise, and they're going down the wrong product that I even had an interest in. So I want to find out what they have, because sometimes they'll say, well, I'd like to rank organic, you know, I want to show up in the Google results. Sometimes people say, well, I know a guy who's got a company in the same industry me over in Dallas, and he's just killing it on Facebook. I mean, you know, I want to do what he's doing. So sometimes they have an idea of something or some service or product they've had somebody else do. So I'm trying to get that from them so I can go in the right direction.
Awesome. It's gold, guys. I love it. How do you set client expectations?
Well, since I mainly do the SEO and the local buzz, I absolutely upfront let them know that this is a long-term investment in their business. And I'll flat out say to them, Jonathan, if you're looking to do this for a month or 2, don't do this. I mean, you've got, in today's world, you know, there's some stats, I don't have one in front of me, but it's over 90% of people go online now and looking for a local product or service. So you know you need to be there. If you're not going to be online, what's your plan B? If you're not going to be online today ranking when somebody searches locally, what's your plan B? Well, you're right. I need to do that. Okay, well, you need to make a long-term investment in your business. And what I have is on my agreements is I do a 9-month minimum. So some people do a year, I've seen. Some people start off right off month to month, like, you know, you don't have to, that way there's no pressure. I found the sweet spot to be 9 months because they understand they need to make a long-term commitment, yet they're not, in their mind, it's like, but it's not a full year. And 9 months gives a lot of time to get some good results and get in with the client, and that seems to have been the sweet spot that I use for my clients. So I'm very upfront with them. You know, if it's a website or pay-per-click, it's a little bit different. For a website, I'll say, hey, in the first 30 days, we're going to do this. You've got, 2 weeks to get back to me, or, it's a $300 restart charge. I'm open with that too. Paid ads, those are going to start showing up a little more quickly, but still there's a lot of tweaking you want to do on those campaigns. Month 2, you're going to be adjusting keywords and bids and other things. So I still prepare them for that as well. But on the SEO and local buzz, which is my main one, I definitely let them know that this is an investment. And every month, what we do in month 2 builds on month 1. What we do on month 3 builds on 2 and 1. This is cumulative effect. Everything we do is going to build on itself. And you can really dominate locally here, but you've got to give it some time.
Right. When you, let's explain to the attendees, if you're signing a 9-month contract, are they paying 9 months up front, or are they paying you monthly or quarterly? How are you collecting the money? Is it monthly or all up front?
Well, that's a great question. I typically go monthly. What I will do is I'll go monthly, and I get their credit card information, and it's got some pretty strong language in there about, sticking to this agreement. And then, sometimes you guys actually are running, on a regular basis and specials and things like that. So a lot of times maybe with something there is I'll email them back after it's done that, hey, if you wanted to pay quarterly, I can give you a discount. Or if you want to pay quarterly, we can add this service if you want to get that money up front. For me, I want to get the signed agreement. I don't want to confuse things. Once they sign it and they're good, I will follow up with them sometimes within those options, and I will get some. My biggest one sometimes is going quarterly and then giving them maybe a discount of 10 to 15% and or adding a service if you guys have some sort of special if they pay for the quarter up front. Generally, that's about the furthest I go out is quarterly payments.
Okay, nice. Jennifer had a good question, and it was, so how long do the customers actually stay with you? And we're going to get to a lot of questions later, guys, but, it's funny. The next slide is, how do you keep and retain your clients?
Absolutely. So we're going to talk, that's a good question. At least 9 months. I would say most clients are a minimum of a year. Some clients I've had for, 5 years now. So I would say the average is probably a couple of years. And there's different things that can happen. You're going to have attrition in every business. There's going to be some companies, I've had a couple of companies that they've retired, or due to other financial hardships, they've closed their businesses. So sometimes stuff like that happens that you just can't avoid, and you're not going to be able to hit a home run for every also work with. But I would say, my average is at least a year for every client, somewhere between a year and 2 years if I averaged it out.
Nice. How do you keep them? A lot of our sales partners, sometimes they have a hard time with attrition. I mean, and yours, I've noticed that your campaigns continue for a long time. Can you kind of expand on that, how you keep and retain them?
Absolutely. My number one thing is stay in contact. It's easy to get busy and caught up with all the things we do, but you've got to touch bases with your customers, and have a relationship with them so you're a real person, hopefully a friend and trusted advisor. But one of the things you don't want to have, and I've had this said to me when I'm meeting with business owners, yeah, Chad, come on in. You know what? Some guy signed up like 8 months ago. I've never seen him, or 6 months ago. I haven't talked to him since except for my monthly bill. Go ahead, come on in, and why don't you talk to me? You never want to be the person they're talking about in that scenario. So out of sight, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, out of loyalty. So if you're not touching base, you should be touching bases with all of them on a monthly basis, and then having at least a quarterly in-person meeting, or do an online meeting through like Zoom.us or Skype, where they can see that you're a human being and a person. So the other thing that's been huge for me to help keep clients is an activity report. So we created something that's called an activity report. So you can just get a piece of paper, write activity report, put your logo, your colors on it, and, client name, so it looks official, representative, even if you're the only representative for your company, put company representative, date, meeting time, place. And when I have my monthly or quarterly meetings with the client, or if I do stuff for them throughout the month, like a lot of times with our clients, we end up doing a little extra things for them. Like I help the client update a landing page just yesterday, as a matter of fact. So I'll create an activity report at the end of the month. I'm going to send it because I want to remind them of the stuff that we do for them. They're not going to remember. You can't rely on them to remember. So when you do the quarterly, these activity reports, and you sit down with them on a quarterly basis, or if it's a big client, a monthly basis, and you just kind of make a history of what you talked about in the meeting, the things that you've done, and you send that to them. So that's been huge, and I email that to them, and then I keep a file as well. So that makes them really aware of all the things that you're doing for them. And the other thing I really like to use is monster metrics.
Hold on 1 second. I want to, because it's so important. I love this. You know, when you told me about these activity sheets, I was just really inspired by that. So, you know, I want to make sure that everyone's paying attention. The activity sheet, it's basically a form that you've put together that you use that's very professional. You're going to take your notes on every meeting or anything that you're doing for the client, and then what do? You upload do you put those into like Word or Drive, or is it handwritten and you send it? How does that work? You actually send it to the client, right?
Great. Yeah, so I have it in Word, and so I type it in Word, so I type it up, and I type all the notes in Word, and then I'll either send it to the client as a Word, or I'll just do a save as PDF, and I'll email it to them as a PDF, one or the other. But I email that to them, and then I, you know, save a copy in their file because I have that. And then whenever I'm going to go to my next or my in-person meeting, I'll print out and I'll bring, you know, the recent activity report. And I'm going to show you how that helps with upsells too here on the next slide too. So it goes beyond just retaining clients. It helps you with your upsells. But that's what I do. It's actually a formal document. If I'm sitting there with the person if I'm sitting there in person with the client, I'm making handwritten notes. As soon as I get back to the office, I'm typing it into the activity sheet, and I'm emailing them a copy, and I'm saving a copy.
I love that. I love that.
Guys, it doesn't take long. It's just habit. It doesn't take long to do it all. It's just habit. Just an extra few minutes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, guys. Try it. You know, this is gold coming at you. And then, I'm sorry, I cut you off when you started going into monster metrics and how you use that.
So I want to show them I want to show them some positive results. And what I love about monster metrics is it's got Google Analytics, it's got Google Webmaster. You don't have to go in to log into the different accounts. It's got some really nice graphics in there and charts. So I'll go into there, and I don't rely on the client going and checking on it themselves. So you can give access or let them look at it, but I don't rely on them. So I'll go in and I'll look at some positive areas where we're maybe increasing the rankings or we have some increased traffic. And I'm going to download and or screenshot some of the stuff that looks really good. And then the other thing that I will often do is I'll also then do a few Google searches of the terms I know that are doing well for them, and I'll screenshot that. So I'll do a term for, Sacramento, CPA, and if my client's on the first page right there, besides the monster metrics information I'm going to send them, I'm going to screenshot that Google search of now how they're on the first page, even if it's the bottom, and 3 months ago they were on page 8. And I'll also send that so they can see an actual search result. And I'll say, hey, we've got some great, we're getting some great results. And then in the email, I'll have a little wording up top. Then I'll copy and paste, either attach, or I'll copy and paste those images right into the bottom, the body of the email. Because it's up to us to let them know that things are going positively. And then also, so if you're staying in contact with them, you're touching base with them, you're doing the activity reports, and you're sending them screenshots and proof of the things that are improving for them, that goes a really, really long way in keeping your clients.
I love it. I love it. Was there, let's see here. Do you want me to go on to the next slide here?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
There's actually another question this ties into, and one of the questions actually that when I was preparing for this that you guys had thrown my way was how do you position your clients if they're approached by other marketing providers?
Oh,
how do you do that? So
yeah.
this also ties into that because you're showing them the work, and I've got 2 examples of where I was able to keep clients in the last several months. One is a mortgage company I was working with, and they wanted to do radio. So they brought in a new company that also did some radio ads. And we had kind of a joint meeting at the beginning with all 3 of us. And I got my activity sheet out, and I made some suggestions like, hey, how about videos, and also what I was supposed to do and what the other company was supposed to do. And I sent those to the owner. And then as we had subsequent meetings and things, I said, here's what I've done based on what we talked about, still waiting on this. Well, sure enough, a few months later, they tried to squeeze me out. They had their preferred SEO provider and said, well, you know, Chad's not doing this and this. He hasn't even brought up video. And he called me out and said, hey, I've got some concerns. They're bringing it up. I go, you know what, let me come by. And let's go over activity reports. And actually, this guy had his activity reports that I sent him all printed out in a folder, but he hadn't looked at them. So we opened them up, and we went back and said, oh, you're actually the one that brought up that maybe we should go into videos. That guy was lying to make me look bad. Oh, you have followed through on all this. We're still waiting on all of them. So that actually he ended up dropping the other client, all because I documented that. If I hadn't, I would have been gone. So that was a big one. Yeah, I love that. And then the other one is recently was with a law firm. This was about 6 months ago, and the owner had gone to one of these big, coaching programs. So of course they had a online marketing company there, and they ran some reports. Oh, Chad, we got all these concerns. They're showing these errors, and we're not ranking all that. And so I would say this. Number one is don't shy away from it. Go in. Go meet with them. I said, let's schedule a time for me to come in and sit down with you, or do it online. And if you've got a good relationship with them, that's why I touch bases with them. I'd always gone in there. I said, just share with me what you got. So they'll actually pull it out. This is where they said, here's some errors. This is where they said we're not doing well. I said, let me borrow this information, look at it, and if we're dropping the ball somewhere, we'll figure it out, but let me get back to next week. So that's where actually I got on with the virtual group team. So I got on with my account manager. I said, here's some areas. Who can help me answer these questions? So some guys from the web team and the SEO team. So we got back with some answers. I went back in and debunked basically everything that those guys had had. And it was all designed to try and make them think that we weren't doing well, and kept that client too. The meeting went very well. So that you don't run away from it. Go in and meet with them. Get face-to-face, or get face-to-face online. Ask them, show me what they're sending to you. And then don't be afraid to lean on virtual group to help you with that. I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. I said, Chad, no, there's no errors here. In fact, go here to Google Webmaster. Look at this page. See, there's no errors there. They're saying that's not right. So I was able to go back and put that all together.
That's awesome. And absolutely reach out to us. I mean, we'll do whatever it takes to show the work we're doing and the results that we've got. So, great example, Chad. I love that. What do you, when you've got your client and, they're in their 9-month contract, you're doing okay, what are you doing to upsell products?
For upsell, my first word I would tell to everybody is awareness. Make your client aware of what you can do and the other services that you have. Don't assume that they know. The worst thing you have is when you come in or you meet with your client and they give you a phone call like, oh, I just want to let you know, I'm just getting a new website, so I want you to coordinate with the guy, or I'm going to do some social media, and I want to put you in touch with the guy to make sure that, we're not doing redundant effort with your SEO and make sure you guys are working well together. And like, well, I do that. Why didn't you call me? I didn't know you did that. I thought you were just my SEO guy. So don't rely on them remembering what you told them the very first time you met them. Don't rely on them going to your website and looking and seeing all this and studying about you. They might never go to your website and learning about the products that you provide. So let them know when you're in there, by the way, besides the SEO, we do these other services. You can have a little sheet if you want. If you're ever in need of these or you have an interest. In fact, do you have any interest in any of these? Just want to make you aware of it. So number one is let them know. Don't assume they know. Also, I will use the activity sheet, as I mentioned, because a lot of times in your meetings, what will happen is they'll say, I got a call from, or I got a guy, I've got a guy that I know that owns a store or dental practice in this other area, and they're doing really well at pay-per-click. He told me I should be in pay-per-click. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Well, I don't really have the budget, but I'd like to talk about that next quarter. That goes on my activity sheet. Now when you're sitting there in your next quarterly meeting, you're going through, okay, here's the stuff we do. Oh, yes, remember last quarter you said you wanted to get in some pay-per-click. What's your budget that you want to work with that on? Assume it. They told you it, right? What budget did you want to go with that on? What areas are we talking about? Did you want to go for that? Geographically, what's your top areas? Should we do that in town here, or do you want to expand out? So, because sometimes they will, a lot of times ask you, pardon me, about a service, so they'll say, I'm interested in that. Now you've got it written down, and you're not bringing it up. You're just reminding them that they brought it up, and you're holding their feet to the fire, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. Then if they bring something up, get back in with a proposal. I just did a Pinterest with a bed store that I own because the guy was in there, and he goes, gosh, I was just reading this article, and this says Pinterest is just awesome for bed stores. So where was I 2 days later? I was in there with a marketing primer, and I was in there with a proposal for Pinterest marketing for you guys. And he signed up. So, you know, when you have the opportunity, get it in, get it done.
Just a quick question. Are you, how often are you scheduling the meetings? You said monthly, correct? But face-to-face, quarterly?
I try it. It depends on the client, yes. If it's a big client, I'll do a month-to-month. So if it's like a client, and everybody has different for a big client, but if they're going to be up over, you know, for me, if they're up over 2,000 or more, I want to meet with them monthly.
Okay.
You know, that's a 24 to, you know, some clients have had up to, you know, 3,500. That's a $24,000 to $40,000 a year client. I don't mind meeting with them monthly. I can take an hour out of my day once a month and meet
Absolutely.
with them. If it's, you know, if it's the other clients, I would at least be maybe reaching out to them. Obviously, if you're doing SEO, you're going to send them a blog article or something like that. But you at the minimum, you've got to send that and follow up with them, unless if they're. But you know, nothing wrong with sending an email or a phone call. How are things going? Just doing my monthly check-in. Did you get a couple of blog articles? Any questions? Things good? That's it. Sometimes it's just it could be 2 minutes.
Right. Okay, man, this is just great stuff. I know we're going to keep going with this webinar. You know, we're not going to cut it off at 2 o'clock, just to let you know. Another question always comes in is, Chad, what's your markup? What are you charging? You know, above and beyond what you know. You're obviously you're paying the wholesale rate to Virtual Group. What are you doing with the markup to earn?
Typically 300% on the SEO and the local buzz services for me.
Okay.
3-time markup, 300%. So if it costs me 300, the clients are going to spend 900. If it's 500, they're going to spend 1,500. Yeah, I typically do that on web sites as well. I know sometimes there's like when maybe the website, I've heard back and forth on this, so maybe doubling on the websites versus tripling. Websites always end up being a little bit more work than you think, and then there's always a few add-ons that you always end up adding in. And I'm not going to nickel and dime the client if they ended up wanting a longer form, contact form, and it cost me $50 or $100 to have you guys do it and keep them happy, then I'm just going to do it and make the project. I don't want it to blow up in my face over $50 because they think I'm nickel and diming them, so I want to keep that extra in there to give myself room for that, or maybe I have to go buy an image for them. It gives me a little cushion there. For the other services that I do when I upsell, sometimes I will come down on that. I'll come to a 2 to 2.5 time markup, never anything less than 2, ever. But if they're spending, you know, $1,000 or $1,500 with me on SEO services, and I want to do some remarketing, or I'm doing some Pinterest or Facebook or pay-per-click, that's additional revenue, and you don't have to hardly touch the client at all with those types of services. It's really maybe adds a minute to your month. So what I'll do on those is I'll show the triple price. I'll say, since you're an existing client, you want to get started with this. This is your, you know, a discount for getting another core product or service with us. And that way they see a price and they think they're getting a discount, they're getting taken care of. So I already have the price that I want in mind, but I'll up the price to make them happy. And then but I use that 2 to 2.5 times for upsells after I have them as a client.
Nice. That's a great system. I like that. We've already kind of covered this about your sales team. Your sales team is you, right?
Yep.
You know,
yep.
Do you have anything you want to add to that? We've already pretty much covered that part of it.
We did, and I gave some tips on people that are looking to do that. You know, so just minimum amount, get them working, and see if that works out.
You know, what is? I know we're getting into it. You know, really, this is a really good meat and potatoes. From lead to sale, what kind of like what is your workflow kind of look like? You know. So. Go ahead.
Yes. Yep. My workflow is this. Number one is I'm going to have a short initial meeting, and that's where I'm going to ask some of those questions about, tell me about your business, other things that I'm making notes. What are your goals for your business? Then I'm going to, if I'm in person, I'm going to take it out and fill it out, or I'm going to email it to them. I have a marketing intake form. Just brand it with my company logo. Now, I know you have the online link that you can send, Jonathan, where we can send them and have it fill out online, but I never know if they're doing it. And honestly, for me, how I like to do it is it looks real professional. I send this to them, and I want to get that back for them because it's a qualifier. So as I mentioned briefly actually before, some of my first meetings, I was going in there spending 1, 2, 3 hours in strategy, and they were asking me questions, and basically what they're doing is they were milking me for a free consultation, then I wouldn't get a client. So what I try and do now is have that short initial meeting, either on the phone. If I can do it I'll do it sometimes in person if they're close, but even if they're local, a lot of times I'll do this one on the phone. I'll schedule a phone appointment, and I'll ask them those questions, and then I'm saying I'm going to send, so it's short, I find out what they're looking for, get their emotional triggers, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to email you right when we get off the line here a marketing intake form. It's going to take you about 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to give me it's just a few basic questions, your company information, geographic areas, your top services. Get that back to me. Because if they don't get that back to me, they're not interested. If they're not going to take 5 or 10 minutes to fill that form out, they're not interested. And I just shouldn't drive somewhere and waste 2 hours out of my day meeting with somebody who was never going to be my client. So that's my first process. So, and basically my marketing intake form are all the fields that you guys have to submit a proposal. So when I go in to submit a proposal, I just have it next to me and I just type it in. So that's my first flow. So then I get the information back from the team. I'll get the keyword research will be done. I'll get a little message that my keyword research is done for the client, and I will get on with Aloe, my account manager, and we'll go over the keyword research. Quick step back. What I will do when I have that marketing intake form is sometimes they'll give me a few seed keywords on there. I always try and expand that a little bit. I'll real quick, one of the other fields is they'll list a couple of their top competitors. I'll just go look at their competitors' website. And I'll also sometimes do a right click and do view source so I can see the keywords they have. So does everybody know how to do that? When you go to any website, you right click, you hit view source, and then you can see their meta keyword, because most of the companies still put some keywords or things like that in there. So I'll just pick up a few more good terms for them that they might not have thought of that I'll add on for the keyword research.
That's great. That's great.
So, and I've gotten it down now where I'm not going to spend all day. They're not a client yet. They just send it in. I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes doing it, so I can just get a more thorough proposal. Then I'm going to call up Aloe, my account manager at Virtual Group, and we're going to go through the proposal. She'll actually, at that point, a lot of times already have highlighted recommendations for me. I would say 80 to 90% of the time I just go with what she has. Sometimes they'll say, well, actually, not really interested. You weren't in the meeting. They're not necessarily interested in that service. Let's go with these keywords. Now I'm ready. I know how many keywords I'm typically going to recommend to them, whether it's SEO or SEO and local buzz, and I'm scheduling now a follow-up meeting. In this meeting, I want in person or visual on the computer. If they're local, I'm trying to get in to see them. And I'm trying to get this done as fast as possible. So if I get the proposal, I'm trying to set the follow-up meeting with them 2 to 3 days later because you guys, the team, is really fast at getting those keywords back. Within one, they always say give us up to 2 business days. I don't know if it's ever taken me 2 business days, Jonathan, to get my keyword research back. It comes back really fast. And if you just want to be safe from that day, set a meeting 3 days out with the client because you want to keep that momentum. Then you're going to take that in with the marketing primer with the services. So I'll have the marketing primer for local buzz and SEO or whatever service we have. I'll briefly, have that ready, and then I'll go over, hey, you want to grow your business, and the best opportunities for you online is to rank, high in Google. And I don't, personally for me, I don't share with them the exact keywords, and I don't share with them the volume. That just leads to more questions. I just say that the services we should target for you, would be, massages and facials if it was a spa. Say, I'm not going to give them the specific words, but I'll let them know that that's what we should do, and we should have X, and here's the budget that we should have. It's X amount of dollars a month. What exactly is the SEO and the local buzz? Then that's when you can utilize your local primers. Just give them a quick run through. And then I just, I get out my agreement. I say to get started, and this is a close actually I got from my dad. My first time I ever went on a sales call, I was sweating profusely. I couldn't fathom the idea of asking somebody for their business. Right? And some people maybe can relate to this, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And there's nothing wrong with asking somebody to buy from you. You have to find out, or you've got nothing. You don't want to come home and be like, oh, they're really interested, and they're going to call me back. If you can, try and get them right then. And the best one that I use that he showed me is I don't look at it as I show them the paperwork, and I say our process. So how we get started, Jonathan, is this is our agreement. We do have a 9-month agreement here because you're making an investment. It takes a few months. So what you would do is just fill out your name right up here, and we get your credit card information. So I'm just explaining to them what our process is. That's how I do it. And, you know, a high majority of the time, the people grab the pen and start filling their name out.
I like it. I like it.
So that's my process.
Well,
but that seems to take the pressure off a lot of people of like, oh, do you want to buy? Do I have to come out and say that? Well, yeah, you do need to ask it, but you can do it subtly. And I love that, showing the process. This is our process. Here it is. Here, and at this point, if you have some good examples, if you want to show, you can. If you have a couple of quotes or testimonials that you also want to have with you, this is a good time to use those and just explain this is our process to get started. Let's get you started.
Nice. Nice. I love it. Guys, I hope you're taking notes. Well, if you don't mind, Chad, I want to open it up a little bit for question and answers. We've
Sure.
got a bunch here. You know, one of the first ones I wanted to ask you about, you know, how do you start the initial consultation? What do you start off with?
So when so if somebody calls me up, or I get referred over to somebody, and it's somebody, you know, my first thing is, you know, if they're, you know, calling me, you know, I'm, you know, off my website, there's the initial thing of like, well, thanks for the call. Yeah, I want to get more information on your services. Great. What's your name? What business are you in? Oh, tell me a little bit about your business. I go straight into those questions. Well, what are you looking to do? Well, I just designed this greenhouse that's for indoors that people can grow these giant, I can try these big things, and, you know, he went on for 5 or 10 minutes about how proud he was of all this, and it's all done. I got patents, and I want to be able to sell these online. Or if it's a local company, they're going to start telling you that stuff. Well, we don't have enough business. We're a local RV repair shop, and we don't have enough business, and we just want to be more visible. So that's what I'm going to do. What are your goals for our business? Well, we're really hurting, or I'm 60 years old. I'd like to hire another employee because, you know, I need somebody to help me take it over with, so we're trying to get some more business. So I'm going to go right down, no matter what it is, I'm going to get down those questions. If they say, well, what do you have, or what can you sell me? I don't know yet. Tell me a little bit about what you have. And honestly, I never have people press me on, well, what's it going to cost me? Or, well, they will press you a little bit on that, but they never, what are your services? Once I explain to them, tell me a little bit about your business, and if they push back once, I'll just say, well, you know, I just need to know a little bit more about what you do, so we can look online and kind of see where your best opportunities are. So they'll generally tell me that information. If somebody keeps pushing and they want the money figure, I'll give them a range. I'll say, we have clients anywhere from $675 a month to $3,500 a month. Where you're going to be, I don't know. Did you have a budget in mind? And if they were thinking they had they thought they were going to do a $200 budget and have rank number 1 for the most competitive term in your city, then they're gone, and you don't waste a bunch of time with them. So I will share it with them if they push, and I give them a range.
Let me see here. I'm going through there's my mouse kind of lost me for a second. I've got some other questions I want to get to you. Let's see here. Douglas is asking, have you ever had any customers that the services just didn't work within the 9 months?
Yes, it happens. They might not continue being your client after 9 months. It can happen sometimes. You guys I think the virtual group does a fantastic job, but in marketing, you cannot hit a home run for everybody. That's just the facts. So along the way, if you don't see that, sometimes I'll tell you what I'll try and do is I'll try and help it out if I can. I had a client that wasn't necessarily, it was kind of griping to me a little bit about the amount of leads they were getting for SEO. Well, they were within it. Well, you know what? I was making a lot of money off this client every month. So you know what I did out of my own pocket? I did a few Facebook ads and a few local Google ads for them. So it depends on the budget, obviously, for the client. If you're only making a couple $100, you can't do that. But I wasn't doing a ton. I went in on Facebook and I did a local campaign. It was a plumbing company, and I targeted homeowners of high value with high income right in his area with a phone number on a graphic ad with his phone number. and ran that a few times. I'd run it for like 25. I'd do like a few bucks a day, so I'd spend like 25 bucks. I did that like 2 times a month, so I spent 50 on that. Then 50, I was running some. Actually, I did some Google. You can get really inexpensive Google ads. I did them for YouTube. I did anybody that was searching for how to fix especially hot water heaters, how to fix a hot water heater, hot water repair, do it yourself. So I figured some people might start down that road and might not be able to get it. So between the two of them, I spent a little bit of money, and he started getting some more phone calls. And I'm not above doing that, of taking a little bit of the profit and sprinkling it around to keep them happy too.
Right.
So sometimes there's just nothing you can do.
Sure.
Yeah, listen, I'll pay $800 a month and send $900 off of them if I keep them for another year. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue with that, right?
That's right. That's right. Is there a max number of clients that you would take in a month because of your time and management and the ability to keep contacting them? Or have you ever had that problem?
Yes, a dozen is about the maximum. That I want. I try and keep around 10 to 12.
It gives you a really nice quality of life, right?
Yep. Yep. Now you can get to everybody. You can make a good income, and that's my number, my sweet spot.
Right. Let's see. Just bear with me while I go through these questions. Let's see here. Okay. If the prospect has hired their own SEO or social media employee, if you have this situation, do you just walk away from the presentation, or have you had any success closing somebody who actually has their own like SEO or social media employee? That happens as well. Have you ever had that happen?
I have not. I have not run across that scenario. If I had them as a client, and they had an in-house person, and they brought you in front of them. You already had it, then they brought somebody in. I never just walk away from a client. I still will go in and have a meeting of like, what are they going to be able to do? What are they doing? And then, point out some of the things that you're able to do. Maybe you can complement something. Maybe you could pick up some social media or some paid ads or do something, but it's tough. I would think that would be a tough scenario, but the only thing you can do is just be upfront and go talk, and then also stay in contact with them because it might not work out.
Of course.
So
sure.
Just send a monthly email. If you do newsletters, put them on your monthly newsletter. Send them monthly or quarterly, or email. I have had that. I've had where I've lost a client, and I stayed in touch with them. They called me back, begging me, going, "Oh my God, my traffic went from 500 down to like 12. Can you come back in?" Because I stayed in contact with them. So
nice. Yeah. Having an employee in-house is not really always the answer. I mean, sometimes it can really help somebody who's a small business, but otherwise, shoot, you've got, a ton of people working for you here. When Jamie asks, if you do a website, you're selling a web maintenance program, do you put that also in a contract to do that for X amount of months, or is that just a one-off? Do you use that maintenance program on the website?
Well, you can do it either way. You can always approach them right at the beginning while you're quoting the website, and if they're interested in it, I would certainly present it when you're presenting the website. So if I had somebody for a website and it's $3,000 for the website, and we also actually have a maintenance package too, and I always like to do this for my upsells and cross sales. It's normally $600 for half a year. But since you're getting a website, if you want to do it at the same time you're getting a website, it's $400, and that'll get you up to whatever it is, the 5 hours a month, for each month for the next 6 months or whatever. It works out to like $20 an hour or something. So I would show it to them right at the beginning because they might go for it, and I would sign it up, and I would definitely put it on the contract. If they didn't, or you didn't show it to them, I certainly would make them aware of that as soon as the website's done. I would send that to them. So my answer would be either way. But if you haven't gotten the website yet, why not show it to them when you're showing it? They might go for it.
Sure, absolutely. Jamie's follow-up question was, are you using paper or electronic contracts?
I use paper, although I should. That's a great question because I focus mainly on being an expert here and being kind of known in my area. So I do paper, and will email them and have them, fax or scan the email back. However, I'm sitting here right here in my hand a DocuSign paper note that I, to get signed up for a DocuSign,
Yeah.
which is a real easy way, to do it too. So that's probably a direction I'm going to be going, is utilizing a DocuSign.
Right. I love DocuSign. We had a question earlier on that I had to go back to real quick. I think it was Larry who asked it. He said, your picture, is that the Thai area of Sacramento?
That's it. That's my trip last year. That's funny.
Yeah,
that's it. That's me in Thailand. So I went to 10 days in October to Thailand and Singapore, and that's a picture. So I just had to get on. And in the previous, when I used to go on vacations, I hated it because I would be on the phone all the time, checking it. Oh, go with you guys go over there. I'll meet up with you in an hour. This guy, I got to take this call. All I did was, once or twice a day, check my emails. I got my team. If there's something there, so it just makes that lifestyle possible. You can actually enjoy your vacations. And that is Thailand.
That's great. Well, I'm not finished with my questions, but I just wanted to show that picture there real quick. But I have another question for you from one of our attendees. It's Stephen is asking, what industries have gotten you the best results? Is there something? I guess he's asking that two ways. I guess he's asking, what industries do you focus on, and then what industries maybe that you've gotten the best results in SEO and success stories. Either way, you can answer that, Chad.
Yeah. So I've had some good successes with lawyers. Specifically for me, DUI and criminal defense. I've had good success in the repair industry, auto, RV repair type stores, because those are products that people are looking for locally. I've actually, the only retail type of success or client that I really have is a bed store and orthodontist. Although dentists and orthodontists are very competitive, so I got this client I got off of a referral. So I will go in there. Plumbing. Those are some industries that I've had success in. I'll be open with you. One industry I didn't have a lot of success in was CPA and accountants. Got them really good rankings, but they didn't seem to get the calls they were looking for. So that was one that didn't work out for me.
So you were getting rankings, it just wasn't converting to sales for the CPAs?
Correct, because they're looking more for businesses, and the calls that they would get were more from individuals. So even if they were getting calls, they weren't getting enough of what they were looking for. So it wasn't that we didn't do a good job. We talk about it. Not every industry and every person is going to be a home run. That was one that I don't go after that industry, anymore, because I've had a couple in there, and that was my experience.
Okay, and then one last question, and then I know your time is so valuable. How do you motivate your potential leads? This is from Frederick.
That's a very good question. If you don't have some sort of motivation, people will put everything off, including ourselves, forever. So generally, I try and bring back their emotion. Well, if not now, when? You said you wanted to get another store. You said you've been struggling and your newspaper ads or your mailers don't work anymore. If we're not going to get started, so first of all, I just go with the flow and try and close, and I put the paper in front of them and ask them, hey, this is our process to get started. If they kind of hem and haw, I say, well, if not now, when? We went through this whole process. You want to do this. What's your plan B if you don't get online marketing? Sometimes I try and bring them to a little reality with a question like that. And I'm not above giving a discount to get somebody started. I tell you what.
Right.
What to get started today, why don't I do this for you? And I'll be honest with them. I go, you need this. Jonathan, you need this, and I want to get started with you. What if today for the first quarter, for the first month, because the first month is always higher, that instead of the first month being $2,500, we make the first month $2,000 to get started. And that's just an incentive for you to get started with me, to give you a discount, because I know you should get started with this.
Nice.
So
money's always a motivator.
It's a motivator. People, I like it, and I won't do that at first. I only do that if they don't go for it at full price. But why, I will do that, absolutely. Give them a discount as an incentive to get started now while I'm sitting here with you, or we're on the phone today. This isn't for next month or 3 months from now. This is for, I want to do business with you. I can help you. You need this. This is to help you make this decision to get started.
Right. Well, Chad, I can't thank you enough for being on the line and being on the webinar today. You know, I look forward to doing some more stuff with you, and if everyone can give a quick shout out to Chad and tell him thanks. You know, for him to spend his Friday with us, it's just great, and I appreciate everyone being here. But thank you so much, Chad, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Thank you so much, buddy.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on. Good luck to everybody out there.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
guys. Okay, bye-bye. Let me see here real quick. Going through these questions, make sure that we got everything out of the way. I got a lot of questions, guys, so if they weren't answered, don't worry about it. We've got, if you come back to the webinar on the recording, you'll be able to, a lot of the questions that you're asking will be covered. If you came in late, Tommy, I saw your questions, and they're all answered in the recording that we talked about, you know, that was earlier. So let's go into what we've got real quick. We'll take 5 minutes to go through this stuff. The web design team wants me to show you some new landing page themes that they've done. Basically, for anything you need on landing pages, these are some templates that we've got. Obviously, you can do a custom landing page anytime you want, but we do have these that are turnkey, can be customized for you on these themes. So if you want to check these out, we've got some for real estate, we've got a law, we've got and Judy's posted the different links inside the marketinghelper.net. You can go through and check these out. It's good to know what these are, even if you had never sold a landing page before. But if you've got this and you've accessed it, then you can come around and it helps you make a sale later. But we've got them for restaurants, you know, anything. So some are very flexible on whatever you need. So check those out. We're also very proud to announce the web design team has really been working hard on some new starter themes. These are for if you need a quick website for a customer. We've got some new themes that are out. Those are also all, you can look at these on marketinghelper.net. We've got them for, I don't know, I mean, just pretty much anything that you need. These are customized out, and they're ready for you to turn and burn. All you have to do is go to the marketinghelper.net, and you'll see them all, okay? So if you will, check those out. Again, if you weren't on at the beginning of the webinar, we have updated all the marketing primers. They're in US English, UK, and Australian English for all of their areas that we serve, so don't hesitate to go in there and download those. There's 7 major services, and you know, you can use these just like Chad does. He prints them out, he takes them in when he's going to be making his presentation. You can find those in eDasher. Just go into eDasher, and they're right there. You can download them for free. They're all updated and ready to go. So we've got a couple of promotions for you. Hello, marketing primers, done for you branding. Surprise, surprise. So if you don't have this done so far, you can take all the marketing primers, you can upload them to your website. But one thing that's important, if you don't know how to do it or you want us to do it, we will customize them with either your logo and your contact information, or we're going to do the logo and your contact information and also match the font and the colors to your website or however you want them. So because we just released these, we're having a special. We will go in and put logos on all 109 pages or customize all 109 pages out for you individually for $79, the logo and the contact information. And then, of course, if you want the full Monty, it's $99. That covers 109 pages of primer. So if you've got the time, to put your logo and contact information on 109 pages, it might be worth it for you just to have us do it. We're ready, and we're ready to go with that. If you're interested in that, if you will, Judy just put it in the chat box. There's the link to the Done For You branding if you want to take us up on that. Otherwise, just save it and come back to us later with that. But get it done. Those primers are the best. If you want to go in, I've already got Nick was making a comment earlier on the marketing primers when we talked about them. And what did he say about it? And he go, let's see. I love this, Nick. I really appreciate this comment. What was it? I can't find it. There's so many questions on this, but it was like, oh, here it is, right here. Let me see. I gotta get my mouse is really crazy today, guys. It says from Nick, dude, the new marketing primers look sharp. I love it. Okay, so go and check them out, guys. Go and check them out. Let's see. Now, of course, we're coming to the, this end of this month is coming up. I guess you've got another 15 days on the Gold for Gold promo that we ran during the Summer Games. I did not use the word Olympics. I'm not infringing on any trademark. Just joking. But anyway, September 25th is the promo deadline for this, and this is 17% off pretty much all of our services. So anything from SEO, we also are doing 17% off the local buzz. We're doing 17% off any of the social media products, as well as our first real promo for PPC, which is really taken off, and we really appreciate the PPC business. And then, of course, online reputation repair is also included. Now, we can't go without talking about the website support and maintenance program. This is something that you should include with every website that you build. Even if we didn't build it, contact us and let's get everybody on a website support and maintenance program. It really, really does help whenever your client needs something. And like I said, even if we didn't build the website, which we should have for you, but if we didn't, we're not going to hold it against you. Just contact us and ask about this maintenance program. It's really good, and it's a really good service for your client. The Gold for Gold promos can be downloaded in the chat box. Judy's already put that link in there. You can check that out, and there's the marketing materials are in there, and you can also do not hesitate to call in to our marketing, our account management team. They'll be glad to help you. The next VIP webinar will be on September 22nd. We will be announcing the next Pro Member webinar here by email to our Pro Members. That will be announced shortly. I do have some travel on the horizon. If you're on the webinar and you're in the Texas area, I will be coming down to Austin and San Antonio toward the end of this month. So if you're in that area and you'd like to meet, or if you want to come down to Austin or San Antonio and sit down and have a chat, I will be in Texas for about a week attending a function in San Antonio. So please reach out if you want to come down or you want to meet me. I won't be able to be there for too long. It's just about 6 days, and then I'll be back in Manila. So just throwing that out there. If you're out there and you want to meet with me, I will be in Texas at the end of the month in early October. So we really appreciate your attending our webinar today. Please don't hesitate to join it. If you're not a member yet, if you want to sign up and become a partner, it's free, and we're here to support you. And also, if you haven't followed us yet, if you want to, here's our links, with our Facebook page, our Twitter, our YouTube, and also our Google+. We'd love to have you following us and keeping in touch with what we've got cooking and news releases that we find. We'd like to pass those along to keep you really informed in what's happening in the industry. So let me see if there's anything else here. I just want to All right, we've got some good. I appreciate the nice comments, guys. Chad was great. Let me tell you, it's great to have him on, and we're really looking to have more of our partners on that are interested in being on. He really wanted to pay it forward, and I can't thank Chad enough for being on the line. He's just really a solid guy. He's a solid performer, and anything you need, he's there for you. So if you want to reach out to connect at virtualgroup.co. We would love to give you more information about Chad. I know some people were asking for his website and some other things. Just reach out to us, and that way we can pass along your message to Chad, and we'll be glad to connect you. So from Manila, this is Jonathan Kirkland with the Virtual Group. We'll be signing off for right now, and we want to see you back on for the VIP next VIP webinar on September 22nd. So thank you very much for spending your Friday with us. I know we ran over time, but we love you guys, and we'll see you soon.